In the heart of the Swiss Alps, there is a wall of rock and ice that haunted the dreams of every climber in the 1930s. The Eiger, specifically its north face, the Nordwand. They didn't call it the North Face for long. The locals gave it a different name, the Murder Wall. Nearly 6,000 feet of vertical limestone, constantly bombarded by rockfalls and unpredictable storms. In 1936, the race was on. The Berlin Olympics were approaching, and Hitler's government wanted a German team to be the first to conquer the unclimbable wall. But the mountain didn't care about politics. It was waiting. Two young Germans, Toni Kroos and Andreas Hinterstoisser, were the best of their generation. Fast, strong, and incredibly skilled. They teamed up with two Austrians, and on July 18, 1936, they began their ascent. For the first 2 days, they were like ghosts moving up the rock. Hinterstoisser performed a legendary move, a delicate pendulum swing across a smooth patch of ice that opened the route to the upper wall. This became known as the Hinterstoisser Traverse. But they made one fatal mistake. After crossing, they pulled their rope through. They burned the bridge behind them. They assumed they would only go one way, up. On the third day, the mountain turned. A massive storm slammed into the north face. Temperature dropped. Rain turned into ice. One of the Austrian climbers was injured by a falling rock. The team realized they couldn't reach the summit. They had to go back. But when they reached the Hinterstoisser Traverse, they found a nightmare. The smooth rock was now covered in a thin sheet of glass-like ice. Without the rope they had pulled earlier, they couldn't cross back. They were trapped on a vertical cliff, with a storm howling around them. Then the mountain struck. A massive avalanche swept down the face. In a matter of seconds, 3 of the men were gone. One was pulled up and strangled by the rope. One fell to the base. One disappeared into the white. Only Toni Kroos was left. Toni Kroos was now hanging on a rope in the middle of a blizzard. He was 6,000 feet in the air. His teammates were dead. One of his arms was frozen solid, useless. He spent the entire night dangling over the abyss, shouting into the wind. Unbelievably, below the north face, there is a railway tunnel that runs through the mountain for tourists. Railway workers opened a small gallery window in the cliff face and heard his cries. They were only 150 feet away from him. But in a storm on the Eiger, 150 feet might as well be 150 miles. The next morning, the rescue team arrived at the window. The weather was too bad to reach Toni directly. Toni had to descend to them, but he had no rope long enough. In a feat of superhuman strength, Toni used his teeth and his one good hand to unravel a heavy hemp rope, tie the strands together, and drop it down to the rescuers. They tied a new rope to it and sent it up. But the rope they sent wasn't long enough. They had to tie 2 ropes together. Toni pulled the new rope up, attached it to his harness, and began to slide down toward his rescuers. Safety was only 5 meters away. He could see the rescuers' faces. He could hear their voices. Then he stopped. The knot where the 2 ropes were tied together was too big. It wouldn't pass through his metal carabiner. Toni Kroos, exhausted beyond human limit, spent hours trying to force the knot through with his frozen fingers. The rescuers watched in horror, just a few feet away, unable to help. Toni fought until there was nothing left. He looked down at the rescuers one last time. In a calm, quiet voice, he said, "Ich kann nicht mehr. I can do no more." His body slumped forward. He died just out of reach. Safety was 5 meters away, but the mountain had won. Toni Kroos's body hung there for a year, visible through telescopes from the valley below. A silent, frozen warning to anyone who dared to challenge the murder wall. The tragedy of Toni Kroos changed mountaineering forever. It taught us about the point of no return. It taught us that the mountain decides who lives and who stays. The north face of the Eiger was finally conquered 2 years later, but the ghost of Toni Kroos still lingers on those limestone cliffs. Because on the Eiger, like on Everest, the summit is a dream. But the descent is the reality. And sometimes, 5 meters is an ocean you just can't cross.